Warm greetings from the high 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Easter Sunday, April 4th, 2021. Thanks for joining me. Tonight will be a very interesting live. I will be bringing you commentary and sources from an old story just a little bit over a year ago about a physician, Obgyn, Black doctor, who was indicted on sexual assaults of women and then sentenced to 10 years in prison. And thanks for joining me. Hello, Miss Moore. Thanks for joining me, sweetheart. Happy Easter. Yes, I hope everyone had a wonderful Easter. Hope the children enjoyed their Easter Sunday, Easter egg hunting and gathering of candies and goodies. Amen. Please refrain from hitting the link until after the guest speaker has given her commentary on the said subject matter. There will be a guest on the panel who will be giving a personal testimony to this subject matter of the doctor who was brought up on charges of sexual assault and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Thank you so much for joining me. Yes, at 12:01, it will be a new day. Amen. Hope everyone has had a safe holiday. Hope the children have gotten their bellies full with eggs and candy and their Easter meal. Amen. Hello, Nancy. How are you? I will be bringing you several sources of information as to when the story was unveiled to the public. So know that this is an older story, about 2 years old. The said commentary you will verify if you need to, and I will give the said sources for the said information so you can go back and reread if you need to find out the information for yourself. Hello. That's okay. Yes, thank you all for joining me. I need to make sure our guest speaker is coming on board. Hold on one second. That's okay. Thank you all for joining me. I've got 5 viewing. Where's everybody? Come on in and join the queen on this Easter Sunday for true crime here in the Dirty South. Yes, I will be bringing you several sources of information to this crime, plural, that took place in the lower states of Memphis, Tennessee, Mississippi area. So please sit back and enjoy the content. Please refrain from using any type of derogatory comments in the chat and on the panel. Thank you. Yes, I did, Nancy. Thanks for asking. Thank you all so much for joining me. Hello, Connor. Thank you so much. Hello, baby. Hi, Candace. Hope you're well. Happy Easter to you, sweetheart. Thank you all so much for joining me. 6 minutes in, I'm going to get started. Oh, mercy. Just 1 second, please. Happy Easter to everyone involved in this chat and listening, viewing audience. Thank you so much. Yes, okay. Yeah, been ready. All right. Please sit back and enjoy the content, and please try to stay on the subject of the title of the video. If you find it difficult to maintain the conversation of the title of the video, you might want to log out of this said video. Thank you very much. The first source is Commercial Appeal, and note that this article was dated at the time that the crime had taken place, and allegations and hearings and other said information. Uploaded April 7, 2019. Commercial Appeal is the source. A Mississippi OBGYN has been indicted on 12 counts of sexual battery. More charges could be coming. Note that this is an older story. A DeSoto County obstetrician gynecologist was indicted after more than a dozen allegations of sexual assault were raised by former patients, according to an indictment made public Wednesday. Attorneys representing more than a dozen women accusing the physician of abuse said additional criminal and civil charges are coming. And this is an African-American doctor. Was past tense. Gregory Norwood was indicted on 12 counts of sexual battery in March by a Mississippi grand jury. Attorney Murray Wells, who is representing 8 of the women from the grand jury indictment and multiple others, described Norwood as a serial sexual predator. It tells the story that we've been telling in a little more chilling detail. He said of the indictment, the length of time Dr. Norwood was allowed to somehow continue to see female patients and was allowed somehow to sexually assault these victims literally for years. The charges and indictment date from January 2016 to September 2018. Wells said the indictment also shows the consistency among accounts of sexual assault made by multiple different women over the course of about 2 years. He added that he was representing 11 additional victims whose accounts were not included in the March indictment. I think Dr. Norwood should and could face a lot of additional charges, he said. In addition to sexual battery charges, Wells said he and his clients could pursue medical malpractice claims, especially for women who reported assaults that occurred more than 2 years ago. The statute of limitation for sexual battery charges in Mississippi. He said they're also looking at other legal avenues to pursue assault charges, similar to how victims of sexual abuse by Catholic priests have brought charges for incidents that occurred decades before being reported to the police. We've seen some shock and a lot of relief that has been exposed, Wells said. Attorney Aaron Neglia who was representing the women with wells, said the alleged assaults took place at multiple locations, including 2 different clinics, Norwood's private practice offices, and at Baptist Memorial Hospital DeSoto. The attorney said they intend to pursue legal action against the hospital. 2 of the women alleging sexual assault were employees of the Baptist healthcare system, and at least one of them reported the assault to superiors at the hospital. According to the attorneys, Wells said that the hospital group did not take action in response to the report. We think these are victims, but for Baptist's failure to act wouldn't have been assaulted, he said. Ayoka Pond, Director of Communications for Baptist Memorial Healthcare, expressed condolences to the women affected by the issues surrounding Norwood. Our hearts go out to all of these women. The safety and security of our patients is our number one concern, and we thoroughly investigate every physician who practices in any of our facilities. We were never made aware of most of the concerns about Dr. Norwood, and we took immediate action when we were notified, said Pond in a statement Wednesday. The South Haven Police Department investigated one complaint and could not find anything to support the allegation. When another complaint came to Baptist DeSoto regarding a patient who had been seen at his clinic, the hospital's chief medical officer reported it to the State Board of Licensure, which conducted an investigation and suspended his license, she said. Pond said they are not aware of if incidents occurred inside Norwood's office and said that most of the alleged assaults happened after he left the medical group and was working in private practice. We don't know of any incidents that occurred at Baptist DeSoto, said Pond. She added the hospital system was not facing any criminal charges, only civil lawsuits. Needless said they intended to file lawsuits against the hospital and Norwood next month after a 60-day period of notice required by Mississippi law has expired. Norwood is expected back in court on April 12th. The Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure suspended his license in the fall after investigating multiple reports of sexual assault. The commercial appeal was unable to find a current phone number for Norwood. Commercial Appeal is the source for this information. So to recap what I just read you, this doctor, African-American physician, past tense, he's no longer a physician, was a OB-GYN doctor. And it alleges in this article that he was indicted on 12 counts of sexual battery in March by the Mississippi grand jury. It basically states that there were employees charging him with these said crimes. They date from 2016 to September 2018. It says it shows consistency among accounts of sexual assault made by multiple different women over the course of 2 years. 11 women were represented who were not included in the March indictment. I'm just recapping. Okay. I want to make sure I get it right. The women who were mentioned in this article, it took place at multiple locations, including 2 different clinics, Norwood's private practice offices, and at a Baptist Memorial Hospital. 2 of the women alleging sexual assault were employees of the Baptist healthcare system. So I find that very interesting, that they were employees, not patients originally. Okay. Now, hold on one second. Trying to get all this up here for you. The next set of news will be Fox 13. This is just to bring you extra details of the charges. This was uploaded April 3rd, 2019. A Mid-South OB-GYN accused of sexually assaulting his patients was indicted by the grand jury of DeSoto County. Gregory Norwood turned himself into authorities on March 14th and is facing 12 counts of sexual battery. The Mississippi State Medical Board suspended Norwood's medical license back in October. The former doctor's indictments comes after weeks of investigations and former patients coming forward. Norwood practiced in North Mississippi for nearly 15 years. The DeSoto County District Attorney's Office confirmed that a grand jury indicted Norwood, and Fox 13 obtained the indictment on Wednesday. The indictment lists details of all 12 counts Norwood is being charged with. If convicted of each count, he could face a maximum of 480 years in prison. In each sexual battery count, Norwood is accused of placing his finger in the vagina of his patients, according to the indictment. Below is the summary of each of the 12 counts listed in the indictment. To protect the identity of the alleged victims, we are not including their names. Count 1, July 12, 2016, sexual battery. Count 2, between July 24th and September 29th, 2018, sexual battery. Count 3, between November 1st, 2016 and January 31st, 2017, sexual battery. Count 4, May 30th, 2018, sexual battery. Count 5, February 27th, 2017, sexual battery. Count 6, November 21st, 2017, sexual battery. Count 7, between January 1st and January 31st, 2018, sexual battery. Count 8, between March 1st and March 31st, 2017, sexual battery. Count 9, January 1st, 2016 and April 30th, 2018, sexual battery. Count 10, February 1st and February 28th, 2017, sexual battery. Count 11, between March 1st and May 31st, sexual battery, and that was 2018. Norwood once worked as a doctor at Baptist DeSoto Hospital, and mind you, DeSoto claims of not having any knowledge thereof of any patients being assaulted by the doctor. But claims came from 2 of their staff members from that said hospital, Baptist DeSoto. According to an affidavit from the state medical board, at least 7 women accused the doctor of inappropriately touching them on several occasions. Fox 13 previously spoke with an attorney representing 15 women who claimed Norwood sexually assaulted them about the indictment. The more of the shocking part to us is the behavior is pretty similar, Attorney Murray Wells said. There were multiple reports made to the board and the Baptist group. Hopefully some of those instances come out of the criminal trial, in the criminal trial. Wells said the list of victims sexually assaulted by Norwood is expected to grow. The problem with this case is a lot of his patients don't even know they were sexually assaulted, said Wells. They trust the professional to do what he needs to do. When they walk away and say that didn't seem quite right, they don't have much to compare it to, said Wells. Norwood will be in court April 12th. Fox 13 discovered from the Tennessee Department of Health that Norwood is still licensed in Tennessee to practice medicine. According to the health department, Norwood is a clinical assistant at the University of Tennessee Health Sciences Center. However, Norwood shows no record of ever practicing in Tennessee. Baptist DeSoto officials issued the following statement regarding Norwood's indictment. And I stated this to you earlier, what was said in the first source. Our hearts go out to all these women. The safety and security of our patients is our number one concern, and we thoroughly investigate every physician who practices in our facilities. We were never made aware of most of the concerns about Dr. Norwood, and we took immediate action when we were notified. The South Haven Police Department investigated one complaint and could not find anything to support the allegation. When another complaint came to Baptist DeSoto regarding a patient who had been seen at his clinic, the hospital's chief medical officer reported it to the State Board of Licensure, which conducted an investigation and suspended his license. It is our understanding that all these incidents occurred in his office, most of them after he left Baptist Medical Group and was in private practice. We don't know of any incidents that occurred at Baptist DeSoto. In the first allegation, a patient said she was sexually assaulted by Dr. Norwood during a physical exam. The claim stemmed from an alleged incident in 2016. A year later, the executive committee of the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure took no action, but they did continue the investigation. On November 5th, the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure received a license order. It was accepted and approved by the board on November 29th. In December 2017, the board said it had to terminate the investigation due to the fact the allegation could not be substantiated at the time. So one came 2016, first allegation, and then a year later, the board did not take an action due to insufficient evidence. Months later, in July of 2018, a patient at Baptist Memorial Hospital filed a sexual assault complaint against the same doctor. Now, mind you, December 2017, the allegation couldn't be substantiated with the first lady. Then you go into the new year, and then into that following summer, 18 July, another lady comes forward. A second investigation began. This time, the board found at least 2 other patients, bringing the total to 4 who reported sexual assault allegations against Dr. Norwood. His license was suspended for an indefinite period of time with no stay of suspension. After 1 year from the execution of the order, Norwood can petition the board for reinstatement of his license, but that does not guarantee it will be reinstated. Norwood would be subject to comprehensive multidisciplinary assessment or evaluation for the purpose of determining his fitness to practice medicine with reasonable skill and safety to patients. And that said information is by Fox 13 Memphis if you need verification for the storyline. The last will be the indictment of the said doctor. Thanks for your patience. This was uploaded December 6, 2019, just a little over a year ago. Mid-South OBGYN sentenced to 10 years in prison for sexual battery.
South gynecologist is sentenced to 10 years in prison after sexually assaulting multiple patients. WMC Action News 5's Brandon Richard was in the DeSoto County courtroom for today's sentencing hearing.
A DeSoto County judge sentenced Dr. Gregory Norwood to 10 years in prison, 10 years of supervised release. In the courtroom, 3 victims, one who spoke and said Dr. Norwood had ruined her life and broken her family. 9 months after a grand jury indicted him on 12 counts of sexual battery, Dr. Gregory Norwood stood feet away from one of his former patients. The judge didn't allow our camera inside the courtroom, but here's part of what the woman said about Norwood's abuse and the toll it took on her and her family. The woman says her life has been ruined because of Norwood. I feel like I'm being held hostage. My husband lost his wife. My children lost their mom. We will have the memories of Dr. Gregory Norwood's abuse our entire lives. Earlier this year, another woman told our sister station in Jackson, Mississippi, how Norwood abused her, making her undress from head to toe and taking pictures of her.
I just can't see myself going to another male OBGYN. I'll never have that trust again.
Norwood reached a deal with prosecutors, pleading guilty to 1 of the 12 counts against him. The other counts were remanded to file. Norwood's attorney says his client did what he thought was best for everyone. Does he regret what he did?
Of course he does. He's a good man. He's just a mere man who made a mistake. That's all. He accepted responsibility for his mistake and kept these people from having to go through a trial.
And the judge says that Norwood must also register as a sex offender. He was immediately taken into custody. Reporting in DeSoto County, Brandon Richard, WMC Action.
Okay. That is WMC 5. As I state, this information was uploaded December 6, 2019. It reads as follows. A Mid-South gynecologist was sentenced to 10 years in prison Friday after being accused of sexually assaulting multiple patients. Gregory Norwood was indicted in April, 12 counts of sexual battery involving 12 different women. He pleaded guilty in October to 1 count, while the others were remanded. Norwood was immediately taken into custody Friday morning after his sentencing. In addition to his 10-year prison sentence, he will spend 10 years under supervision after his release and must register as a sex offender. Norwood was suspended from his practice in November 2018 when the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure found him guilty on 7 counts of unprofessional conduct. He has since surrendered his medical license in Tennessee. Records show multiple women dating back to 2016 reported to have been sexually assaulted by Norwood. The first patient to report assault said it happened during a physical exam. 3 of the women were present at Norwood's hearing on that Friday. And as I state, this is an older article from December 2019. And then I will bring you another video pertaining to this.
Claiming a Mid-South OBGYN sexually assaulted them are coming forward. And we've learned new details about What could happen next in this case from South Haven Police?
We first told you about Dr. Gregory Norwood, a medical professional under investigation by the State Medical Board accused of assaulting his patients. WMC Action News 5's Ali Herrera has the new developments in this investigation.
We're concerned about how early in this practice the behavior started.
Attorney Murray Wells expects the number of women coming forward with allegations of sexual assault by Dr. Gregory Norwood to keep growing.
I think it's unlikely that the doctor would admit the amount of patients that he treated in that way.
Wells says his office is representing several women. He's spoken to at least 8, all claiming the Mid-South OBGYN assaulted them during exams. The women range in race and age. One is a juvenile.
There's no way, in my opinion, that you can't feel distrust towards the medical profession and be concerned about going to other doctors in the future.
The Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure temporarily suspended Norwood's license in September. This happened.
Hold on.
David from the state board outlined sexual assault allegations against Norwood made by 7 women. The board later found Norwood guilty of 7 counts of unprofessional conduct. Last month, his license was suspended indefinitely.
We have a client that is in the Baptist healthcare system in Mississippi.
Wells says his client told employees of Baptist Medical Group of the assault, but felt not enough action was taken. We asked Baptist Medical Group about that specific allegation. The company sent us this statement saying in part, quote, "These incidents took place in Dr. Norwood's office, not at any of our hospitals. As soon as we were notified of the situations, we followed up on them." South Haven Police also told us they have an open investigation and plan on presenting their case against Norwood to a DeSoto County grand jury. Ali Herrera, WMC Action News 5. And for the full statement from Baptist Medical Group, you can head over to our website, click on this story. Norwood's attorney just sent this statement moments ago, quote, "Our position is that Dr. Gregory Norwood is a victim of false allegations and he denies any wrongdoing in these matters, and we look forward to our day in court." End.
Okay, so that was testimony beforehand, before he ended up getting the sentence. Okay, as I told you, he turned himself in. Well, he was immediately taken into custody, that morning after sentencing, and got a 10-year sentence and will be 10 years under supervision after his release, and he must register as a sex offender. And he was found guilty, 7 counts of unprofessional conduct, and of course his license was surrendered. Here's another piece of evidence video pertaining to the case.
Department of Health is investigating a Mid-South OBGYN after he was indicted on 12 counts.
Right now is a great time to buy.
Now, too many videos playing at once. Lord help me. Sorry about that. So that video was basically Department of Health also were investigating. The doctor was very busy investigating as well. Just a very sad situation pertaining to this doctor. But as I state, this case started in 2016. Nothing was done immediately.
The gynecologist is sentenced to 10 years in prison after sexually.
Just a very sad, tragic story. While I was getting this information gathering, I had found another doctor in the same state. He's a Caucasian doctor. He was accused of misconduct as well. And I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of this doctor. Sorry I'm bringing you so much information, but I just want to get all this out. I'm going to skim over it. You can go verify for yourself if you need to. This is about WLOX. This is a doctor who is a white doctor, also accused of said crimes against patients.
Now, shocking allegations against a Canton OBGYN, and tonight his medical license is suspended. The claims, sexual assault of patients. The state's medical licensure board suspends the license of Dr. Walter Wolf, describing him as an imminent threat to patients. Bob Wolf says the claims are false, and he is taking action against the board. 3 News Side's Rosalind Anderson with this new information.
Dr. Walter Wolf established the Magnolia Women's Clinic in Canton in 1989. Wednesday, the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure temporarily suspended his license, claiming inappropriate sexual conduct with several patients.
At this time, I would prefer not to answer any questions directly related to the investigation involving Dr. Walter Wolf.
In the board's determination of suspension, Wolf is also accused of impregnating a patient and without her knowledge attempting to induce an abortion. It states that the patient later gave birth to his child. The complaint states that a physician assistant witnessed the 60-year-old doctor kissing a patient during an ultrasound. The board received the complaint in November.
We only investigate a situation when a complaint is filed. If information develops during that investigation where action needs to be taken, then we'll determine what the appropriate action is.
Wolf denies the claims and has responded in Hinds County Chancery Court against the board. Wolf states that the woman he was kissing was his fiancée, who is now his wife. His attorney, Mason Heidelberg, has filed a motion for a temporary restraining order and injunctive relief against the licensure board. The motion states that no patients listed by the board have filed charges against him, and the suspension is an attempt to destroy Wolf's practice and deprive him of due process. Wolf is scheduled to appear before the State Medical Licensure Board on July 24th. In Jackson, Rosalind Anderson, 3 on your side.
Okay, that's another set of information about a doctor. Also in Mississippi, a doctor, Walter Ray Wolf, as I last checked, the practice he had was not open. So this Mississippi doctor had his license temporarily suspended after allegations surfaced of sexual assault and misconduct against several patients, including fathering 2 children with patients and attempting to insert an abortion-inducing drug into a patient without her consent. Dr. Walter Ray Wolf is associated with Magnolia Women's Clinic, has his license temporarily suspended by the Mississippi State Board of Medical Licensure Wednesday without a hearing, ruling that Dr. Wolf's continued practice of medicine would constitute the immediate danger to the public. State Board of Medical Licensure Executive Director Dr. Ken Cleveland said that at this time, the board would prefer not to answer any questions directly related to the investigation involving Dr. Walter Wolf. On Thursday morning, Wolf's attorneys filed a motion for temporary restraining order and injunctive relief against the Mississippi Board of Medical Licensure. In the motion, Wolf denies all wrongdoing, stating the board's instance of sexual assault involves his fiancée, who is presently his wife. The motion also said that Wolf was allowed to follow an active patient in labor and discharge other patients following a surprise visit by the board's executive director, Dr. Kenneth Cleveland, on Wednesday. That's interesting. It said the motion also said that Wolf was allowed to follow an active patient in labor. That's interesting. If there had been a danger as alleged, the board would have acted long ago, Wolf's response read in part. We only investigate a situation when a complaint is filed, added Cleveland. If information develops during that investigation where action needs to be taken, then we'll determine what the appropriate action is. And it says the stories and graphic details. According to the complaint with this situation, the board was contacted in November by a healthcare practitioner in Jackson who had concerns of such misconduct between Dr. Wolf and several patients. That same month, a physician assistant student who worked with Dr. Wolf during the OBGYN portion of her clinicals witnessed Dr. Wolf kissing one of his pregnant patients on the lips just before an ultrasound was performed on her. The PA student also told the board that Dr. Wolf was the father of the patient's unborn child. The certified birth certificate was obtained from the Mississippi State Department of Health Vital Records Office, revealing that the child was born at the home of Dr. Wolf, who was also listed as the father. Wolf's motion states that the board failed to disclose that at the time of this kiss, the woman was Dr. Wolf's fiancée and is presently his wife. The complaint states that 2 years prior, in 2016 was a hot year, it seems. The former husband of another patient filed a lawsuit stating that in 2015, Dr. Wolf employed the patient and encouraged her to enter into a sexual affair with him. Dr. Wolf responded to the lawsuit admitting to the relationship with the patient. So in this, Dr. Wolf responded to the lawsuit admitting to the relationship with the patient. Lord have mercy. Okay. According to the complaint, while this patient was pregnant with his child, during sex, he tried to insert 4 misoprostol cytotec tablets into the patient's vagina, without her consent in an attempt to induce an abortion, but was unsuccessful. The patient later gave birth to his child in 2016. In January 2019, a former patient of Dr. Wolf was interviewed by the board where she told them that he had immediately made inappropriate comments to her following a vaginal examination. At the board's request, a fellow OBGYN practitioner reviewed the accusations against Dr. Wolf and deemed him to be an immediate threat not only to the citizens of Mississippi, but to any patient that should enter into his care. According to the order, Wolf is guilty of violating professional boundaries with patients, guilty of failing to maintain patient records of controlled substances prescribed, guilty of committing a physical assault on a patient with the unwanted insertion of medication into her vagina, and by the virtue of said violations are guilty of unprofessional conduct, which includes being guilty of dishonorable and or unethical conduct likely to deceive, defraud, of harm the public, and guilty of prescribing drugs that have addiction, forming, or addiction sustaining liability other than in the course of legitimate professional practice. A hearing has been scheduled for July 24th. WLOX, is that said information? So he has fathered 2 children, kissing one patient who happened to be a fiance, now a wife. WLOX, is that said source? And this last information, I'm just going to skim over so I can get to the point of my live. I'm so sorry. WTBA is the source for this one about Dr. Wolf. It's basically stating that a Mississippi board extending the suspension of the medical license of an OBGYN physician who faces several complaints about sexual misconduct. The Mississippi Board of Medical Licensure took the action Thursday against Dr. Walter Ray Wolf, who practices in Canton, and this is in the state of Mississippi. The board had temporarily suspended Wolf's license July 10th. After Thursday's action, the suspension is for an indefinite length of time. And they say that he and his attorney were not attending the Thursday meeting. And it also states one complaint was that Wolf had an affair with one of his married employees and tried to insert an abortion-inducing drug into her while she was pregnant with his child. The baby was later born. And it just goes on and on from there. If you want to verify, I'm going to hurry up and get into my story. I only brought you that information just to show you that there was another doctor who just happened to be a white doctor, also accused of sexual improprieties with patients, got them pregnant, married one. It's a lot of foolishness. I now would like to bring you someone who's affiliated with the first doctor that I brought to you, the black doctor who is now currently in penitentiary, prison for 10 years, and will be 10 years supervised probation once he is released from prison, and also has to register as a sex offender. This was a Mid-South OBGYN doctor who is no longer a doctor. Gregory Norwood is in prison as I speak, facing 10 years for misconduct, sexual assault on one charge. The other have been remanded. I don't really know what that means. I would like that person to please hit the link and come up and give your testimony about your short and brief dealings with Dr. Gregory Norwood. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all.
Hey, Miss Angela.
Hello, how are you doing this evening? Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you too, darling.
Thank you so much. I'd like to say this to all of you, that the story I brought to you was brought to me by Miss Night Owl, my mod from my channel. She had a brief encounter with Dr. Gregory Norwood. She was recommended as a patient to him due to female problems she was having, and this will be her own testimony to the public about her encounter with the doctor. Go ahead.
All right.
Set it up and give us the year and how you were able to come to meet Dr. Gregory Norwood. Thank you.
All right, you want me to go way back from the very beginning to how we got there, right?
Yeah, because it's not going to make any sense if you just say you showed up at the surgeon's office. You have to tell what was going on with you. You don't have to tell all your business, but just say you were having some issues and how the year, the time frame, how many times, you know how to do it. So
I don't mind.
okay.
All right, hi everybody. This is Night Owl, and I'm gonna take you back to how I got involved with this doctor in the first story. My issue started when I was a teenager. I had very heavy menstrual cycles, and back when I came up, it was deemed as normal. And I did a lot of home remedies as told by my parent and my grandparent. And so for my teenage years, I suffered, but I didn't know the cause of it. So as I got into like right before my early 20s, I was told that I had ovarian cyst. I had a laparoscopic surgery done in 1999 at the age of 18. And I thought that was the end of it. Well, shortly after, I became pregnant in my 20s. At 20, I had my first child. 21, I had my second child. I still had very heavy menstrual cycles. And then I got to the age of 24, 25 and experienced a ruptured cyst. And that was the first indication that something was going on with my body that wasn't right and wasn't getting better. So at that point in time, the hospital mentioned in this article when I had the ruptured cyst in 2010, I went to the hospital. I had to have two blood transfusions. I was there for a week. I was prepared to have a hysterectomy. The day of the surgery, a doctor comes in, a female doctor tells me my blood levels were going up. I was doing a little better. I was married, and she was uncomfortable doing that procedure. So I went on with heavy cycles, very bad cycles, for another 3 or 4 years. In this time frame, I saw several OBGYNs that told me to take medicine, heating pads, warm baths, all type of things. They were not getting any better. So finally, I'm gonna say 2018. In 2018, I went for my yearly woman's exam. And the facility I went to, I was prepared to do it. The doctor there told me since she wasn't a gynecologist, she was going to recommend me to a gynecologist due to my ovarian cyst history, because they would better treat me and they could do my yearly woman exam. So I was referred to Dr. Gregory Norwood. When I was referred to Dr. Norwood, I was told that he was one of the best doctors in the area. I was told he came highly recommended. I read reviews on Google. Everything looked good, checked out. I made an appointment and I went and met Dr. Norwood. Upon meeting Dr. Norwood, we went over my options and we came up with me having to have a procedure done um, to stop my ovarian cyst. So when I met him, he was very polite, um, very accommodating. I didn't know much about him, but his record, his achievements, and everything spoke for him. Now, when I met him, we met alone in his doctor's office. Now, I've had several women examined, and most time a woman in there. But upon meeting him, I never had to undress, or he never did a physical examination on me. But I did have a procedure done. My husband was there. And in that time frame, once my procedure was done at the hospital, I met back with him. And we discussed the options of the surgery that I will be having.
So who performed that surgery, that one you had?
Dr. Norwood. He performed it at
the hospital?
At the hospital, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, remember, I met him in 2018. I signed papers for my procedures in the middle of 2018. When 2019 came, I was perfect. I'm sorry. Yeah, when it was time for him to do my procedures and I was getting ready, one night I was sitting at home. The news came on and my gynecologist's face was plastered everywhere for sexual assault. My heart dropped because I was just like, this can't be real. I met him. I talked to him. I've told him all of my personal business. We've had discussions. I mean, he's looked at pictures of my private, everything. I didn't know how long this had been going on. I didn't know if this was like something that had been done in multiple locations. I had no idea because when I met him, I was under the impression that he only worked from the one clinic and our local hospital. I immediately the next day tried to get answers from his doctor office. And these are the words I was told. I was told, Miss Night Owl, don't worry about it. He'll be back. Miss Night Owl, these allegations are unfounded. Miss Night Owl, they have to follow these complaints because they were made to the medical board. In this time frame of waiting, my issue with my body is worsening. I am calling every other week because on Facebook at the time, people were divided of all races because he treated all type of patients. We had people that was rah-rah supporters, and we've had people that were on there saying that he touched them inappropriately. In this time frame, I was divided because now I am stuck with, I just was recommended to him. My issue is getting worse. I don't know what I'm going to do. I one day went to the public library. In the public library, it was a lady sitting, and I have natural hair. She has natural hair, and I was just speaking to her. This lady brought the doctor up and began to tell me her testimony, and which was she was assaulted by this doctor. She had been going to Dr. Norwood for years. He had been doing her annual women's check. The lady was married. The lady began to tell me how he stayed a little longer in her private area than what was required for an annual exam. The woman begins to tell me how her husband didn't understand and told her to pray about it. She told me her church wanted her to leave it alone. She told me how the local police department asked her why she waited so long to file charges, um, the repercussions that it would be for her to file charges, and they did not want to take her report on the doctor because he was well known, highly regarded, lots of awards, delivered lots of babies. I mean, it was very bad. And the lady began to open up to me and telling me how it changed her life. She didn't feel right. She was scared. She was anxious. I definitely understood everything that the lady said, and I told her, honey, only you know what's right and what's wrong and what happened to you. And I would say to you, regardless of anybody, if you have been assaulted, report it. Nobody believed her. And we talked for a long time, and that has always stuck with me. I have never forgotten her. I have never seen her since um she shared her story. So back to me. After that happened with me, I was in a dilemma because I was having to find other doctors because my issues were causing me to have a hematologist. And if you don't know what that is, that's a blood doctor. So because I became anemic, so my hematologist was like, okay, you got to get this issue fixed. So Dr. Norwood was still the OB. He was still under investigation. So finally, another year comes. They tell me Dr. Norwood has to go to court, but we're going to bring you in a specialist. So I had to wait until the holidays for the specialist to get in because he came towards the end of the year, matter of fact, around Thanksgiving. I then had to wait for the doctor that they brought in to get his license cleared at the hospital. So when all that had been done, there had been a total of another 2 years before I had my surgery done. I had a great doctor that came in. He was very polite, very knowledgeable, and did a great job for me. I say all that to say is that when it came down for my family asking me, did I believe the women? How do I feel about it and everything? I will say this. The very first visit that I was meeting Dr. Norwood, I had my oldest daughter with me. And when he came in the room, my daughter said to me, Mama, he don't look right. Something wrong. with him. I shrugged it off as being a parent, like, girl, you dramatic. What are you talking about? We ain't never even met the man. This is what I told my daughter. And lo and behold, less
How
than
was
a few
how
months,
was your daughter?
my daughter at the time was 18 years old.
Okay.
And she said, Mama, he doesn't look right. Something about him doesn't sit right well with me. Be careful. I shrugged it off because I never met the doctor. She never met the doctor. I never been in the clinic, none of these things. And lo and behold, she was correct. And I would say for me, you know, I didn't notice anything different about him. I mean, you know, I've seen all type of doctors, Caucasians and African American, when it came to having a well women's check done. I know what to expect. Based on this incident happening, I take my husband to my women's exams, to my mammograms, anything that has to be done with me with my clothes out because I don't feel comfortable with it. You know, anytime I've had an exam, a female nurse has been in the room. When I met him, it was a female nurse in one time. She stayed very short and then she left, you know. And for me, again, I would say the only interaction we had was just going over things that he was going to do for me, going over questions I had, and going over paperwork. And people to this day are still divided because it's a great number of people that feel that he's innocent. I mean, they set up a Facebook page for him for support. People wrote letters, sending affidavit letters, you know, in support of the doctor, black and white. And like they said in the article, it was all type of women accusing the doctor, not just African Americans. It were Caucasian women as well accusing the doctor. I did not know about the first allegation in 2016. Like I said, when I was recommended to him, I knew nothing or any allegations, nothing about allegations or probes or anything came up for me. So it was very scary because when the time I did have to undress, I was in a hospital, which means I was around a lot of people. My husband was there, you know, so we never had anything one on one. And I mean, he was a very nice doctor, very nice looking doctor, um, you know, very kind of quiet, shy. And I mean, that was the scary part because his nurses boosted him up, the staff, they told me I was in good hands. I came to the right place. And I even talked to the staff doing his probing. And me and one of his staff members talked personally off the record. And she told me, you know, they didn't believe the allegations. They were lies. They were unfounded. These were women that wanted to be with him. These were women that desired a relationship with him, and he was married and he didn't want them. They told me that this was an attack on him. I mean, I heard everything from people that worked there. And to this day, I still have the lady phone number. And I mean, she promised me that he was coming back. Don't give up, hang in there. We are women and this and that. And I very much explained to her that I am a survivor of assault. So for me, when I hear people say, oh, well, they're lying, I mean, why do you say that? If you wasn't there, how do you know? It's very easy to say they're lying if you were not laying there. It's very easy to dismiss it because you can't compare it to something. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen. I'm very knowledgeable about how the exam goes. I then became engulfed in finding out step by step what I need to do when I go in for certain things. And the main thing for me is taking somebody. I didn't care if it was my kids. I didn't care if it's my mother-in-law. I don't care if it's my husband. Somebody has to go because now I no longer trust doctors, men or women, you know, that do this. Because, you know, for me, when you do something too long for me, I get very uncomfortable. I become uneasy. Blood pressure shoots up. They ask me, man, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I have to tell them, like, no, you can't do all of that. You know, if you got to do something, I prefer an MRI, CAT scan, or anything do based on my issues. Based on my issues. And I no longer have to have well women exams, but I do import to women that If you don't feel comfortable, say something. You know, um, I just hate this for all of these women. He is currently incarcerated. He can never practice medicine again, ever. So he won't be able to hurt other women, you know. And of course, you did hear when his attorney say he made a mistake. It's no such thing as a mistake when you continuously do it over and over and you harm women. Because some of these women, like the woman I met, was crippled by this because nobody believed her. Nobody, even her husband, asked her to drop it. The police asked her to drop it. Night Owl, told her, don't drop it. So it's one of the women in their complaint that I personally met that I told out of my mouth, like I'm talking to y'all, don't drop it. That's the lady that says, I was touched. He was down there too long. I told her that because nobody would listen to her. Everybody told her he's a good doctor. You're going to bring down an African American man. This is what she told me standing in the library. And she didn't understand why. And I told her, you did nothing wrong. You know how the exam go. We up in age. You're not lying. And this lady marriage was on the line. I didn't know her from a can of paint. And I said, ma'am, if you don't, it will hunt you the rest of your days. It's going to eat you up because she couldn't focus. She couldn't work. She couldn't eat nothing. Her church didn't stand behind her. And we just happened to meet one day. And I said, well, I just met this doctor and I had no idea. And she said, oh, well, he's been a freak. I didn't know nothing about that. I said, he's been a freak. Oh, yeah, he's freaky. The comments on Facebook, people from all over were saying this. Oh, he's touchy, and he's this. I will tell you this, had it happened to me, he wouldn't have made it to trial because I don't have a husband that thinks like trial. My husband don't think like that for this type of stuff. It's like, it's no understanding. We're not going to understand and we're not going to comply. We're not going to compromise or nothing. If I say it happened, it happened. It's no reason to lie on them. And these women had no reason to lie on them. When that first complaint came, and that's what people fail to realize, some of their own employees made complaints against the doctor. The employees, not just, Mary Sue came in for a pap smear and she made it up. So that's my story about Dr. Norwood. And
Okay.
I live with it because my daughter told me something was wrong with him. And I
Did
told
your
my
daughter
daughter,
ever say what she thought it was?
she said he didn't look right. It was something about him. She couldn't put her finger on it. But she said he didn't look right. His demeanor was wrong. I said, well, what you mean? And she said, I can't explain it. But she said when he came in, something was wrong with him. She said the way he looked. She could just tell.
Okay. I want to play you off something. Hold on.
He made me undress from top to bottom. And I didn't understand why I had to undress from top to bottom and have a breast exam and everything was something was going on down below. And he also made me just feel uncomfortable. It's kind of a red flag. I was saying, okay, well, maybe, he's a gynecologist. He knows, best or whatever. So after he would do the exam, he never would tell me, okay, well, I'm going to schedule for the procedure to be done. He never would say that. He'll just say, okay, well, I'll let you know when I'm going to be able to perform the surgery. I was studying sick, just sick. So I was study call, and Dr. Norwood, you going to do the surgery? Oh, well, you have to come in and see me.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I don't know why this is stopping. Oh, hold on. Jeez. When I'm doing something stops. Sorry about that. I don't know why that video stopped. Hold on one second. Ooh, these new phones, I tell you. Can't get nothing to play right.
He made me undress from top to bottom.
I guess that was all of it.
And I didn't understand why I have to undress from top to bottom and have a breast exam and everything when something was going on down below. And he also made me just feel uncomfortable. You know, it was kind of a red flag. I was saying, okay, well, maybe, you know, he's a gynecologist. He knows, you know, best or whatever. So after he would do the exam, he never would tell me, okay, well, I'm going to schedule for the procedure to be done. He never would say that. He'll just say, okay, well, I'll let you know when I'm going to be able to perform the surgery. I was studying getting sick, just sick. So I was studying call. And Dr. Nora, you going to do the surgery? Oh, well, you have to come in and see me.
Okay. What you just heard was Danielle. That's the name given for the patient. This is an article from Mississippi Today. Bad practice. What Mississippi doesn't tell patients about doctors and sexual misconduct. This was uploaded February 20th, 2019. Danielle's first visit went fine. She'd been referred to a well-respected OBGYN in Northwest Mississippi after a clinic examination determined she had abnormal cervical cells that needed scraping. The doctor's affable, laid-back demeanor put Danielle at ease. The second visit raised Danielle's suspicions. A complication during the first procedure had left her bedridden with pain and caused heavy bleeding. At her next appointment, the doctor asked her to strip naked. Danielle, then 27, was confused by why a nurse was not present like previous gynecological exams with other doctors. Why would I have to undress from top to bottom and get a breast exam if something was going on down below, said Danielle, a pseudonym. He also just made me feel uncomfortable, and it was kind of red flag, but I was saying he's a gynecologist. He knows this. After being told she would again need surgery for a precancerous cyst growing in one of her ovaries, the doctor said she would need to come in for another examination, a confounding request considering he'd already made his diagnosis. She made the hour-long drive from Bolivar County to the doctor's office. He again asked her to remove her clothes. During another full breast and pelvic exam involving what seemed to her inappropriate and unnecessary probing, the doctor asked Danielle for her cell phone so he could take pictures. He is fixing to do some research or something. She remembers rationalizing at the time. I'm thinking to myself, he's the doctor. Maybe he's going to show me what's going on or something. The click of a camera phone shutter startled her because she had placed her phone on silent. She realized the doctor was using his own phone. By the end of the exam, she was disoriented, embarrassed, and angry. Never mind about scheduling the surgery, she told Dr. Gregory Norwood before leaving his office for the last time. I immediately went and told my mom and found another gynecologist because I knew that wasn't right, Danielle said. Something wasn't right. Months before that final appointment, a woman had filed a sexual misconduct complaint against Norwood with the Mississippi Board of Medical Licensure, the state agency that regulates doctors and punishes them when they violate state laws. Board records show she was the first of 7 women making similar claims against Norwood between July 2016 and September 2018. State law lists more than 20 infractions for which doctors might be punished. A separate section for disabled physicians covers what the board considers potential cause for impairment, which includes mental and physical illness and substance use disorders. Some of these sub-statutes are specific, such as habitual narcotic use or alcoholism and drug possession or distribution. Most often cited in licensure board rulings are more vague statutes. For example, 44% of licensees with disciplinary records were found guilty of any dishonorable or unethical conduct likely to deceive, defraud, or harm the public, while 31% involved a violation of any provisions of the Medical Practice Act or the rules and regulations of the board or of any order, stipulation, or agreement with the board. Glaringly absent sexual misconduct. A Mississippi Today WLBT examination of physician disciplinary records and interviews with patients and their advocates, as well as the former top leader with the licensure board, paint a picture of a state agency shrouded in secrecy and slow to put in place policies to protect patients from predatory doctors. We compared thousands of federal records dating back to 1990 and state databases dating back to a decade to analyze disciplinary actions against practicing doctors, as well as doctors whose license was suspended revoked, or surrendered. Mercy, it's kind of long. Sorry, it's what they found. Approximately 1 in 25 practicing Mississippi license holders have been disciplined for violating state medical practice laws. These include licenses that are currently suspended, recently revoked, or surrendered. The Medical Licensure Board has disciplined at least 11 doctors currently practicing in Mississippi for professional sexual misconduct, which can include assault, consensual relations, and flirting with patients. More than half of these physicians practice unrestricted, with at least one limited to treating male patients only. At least 16 doctors with suspended, revoked, or surrendered licenses have previous sexual misconduct violations, including one accused of drugging and raping patients and another convicted of forced sodomy of a minor. At least 6 doctors were issued licenses or continued to practice after being disciplined for sexual assault or had license revocations because of sexual misconduct in other states. At least 35 doctors voluntarily surrendered their licenses amid a board investigation or after previous disciplinary charges, putting a halt to the investigation. As a result, it's impossible for the public to know how many of these complaints involve sexual misconduct. We also found large discrepancies between a national government database considered the authoritative source or physician disciplinary records and Mississippi's records. Mississippi Today and WLBT also found sexual assaults fall under broad categories such as impairments or disability or professional misconduct, making it difficult for patients and the public to know if a doctor has been disciplined for sexual misconduct. Doctors also don't have to disclose to patients if they face disciplinary actions. The licensure board does not disclose how it makes disciplinary decisions or how doctors are referred to the Mississippi Physician Health Program, a rehabilitation program for doctors with addiction issues run by the Mississippi State Medical Association, a powerful physician lobbying group. Dr. Claude Brunson, the outgoing president of the licensure board, declined an in-person interview request and said he could not discuss specific cases. In an email, he said it's important for the public to trust the board. The board takes very seriously our role in protecting the public. We have physicians come before us for violations ranging from failure to complete continuing medical education courses to, sadly, in some cases, criminal acts. We also put the safety of the public first, said Brunson, who will soon helm the State Medical Association. And I'll let you know that Dr. Claude Brunson, who is executive producer of the Mississippi State Medical Association, is an African-American male in the said photo. We do an emergency suspension in cases where imminent danger exists. Some physicians can safely practice with restrictions placed on their licenses. Some must be referred to the physical health program for extensive evaluation. Treatment may be an option. Close supervision occurs for any physician attempting to return to practice. In some cases, termination of the license is the only appropriate action. Reform advocates point to Norwood's case for the need for more board transparency. They note the board dropped its investigation on Norwood more than 1 year after the first patient complained due to the fact the allegation could not be substantiated at the time, documents show. Norwood continued practicing medicine with an unrestricted license until more victims came forward, according to board investigators. Reports obtained by Mississippi Today and WLBT. One patient said Norwood put both his hands down her pants. Another said he fondled and placed his fingers inside her vagina. Norwood asked another woman during a pelvic exam whether she thought about men other than her husband. Records show he asked another patient if he could put his mouth on her nipple, and yet another if she knew the depth of her vaginal vault. Lord have mercy. In November, more than 2 years after the first complaint, the board suspended Norwood's license indefinitely for unprofessional conduct, documents show. In November of this year, he will be eligible to ask the board to reinstate his license. Although Norwood consented to the board's outlined allegations and agreement suspending his license, he denies the allegations. He has not been charged with any crimes. He certainly denies any wrongdoing, and we believe these people are trying to facilitate civil claims against him and his insurance carrier. That's the bottom line, Tony Faris, an attorney for Norwood, told WLBT in Mississippi Today. A South Haven Police Department investigation is ongoing. Danielle did not file a complaint with the board, but is one of the 13 women Memphis-based Wells and Associates is representing in a potential lawsuit. I can never see myself going to another male OBGYN again. I just can't. I'll never have that trust again. Dr. John Hall, a licensure board's former executive director, said he called for stronger patient protections against sexual misconduct and more transparent public information about doctors. Patients don't really have a good way to measure. It's kind of scary that the best estimate they have of whether or not a doctor is good, any good, is Yelp, he said. And I think most of you have heard of Yelp. By contrast, there's no website for doctors disciplined for sexual assault, similar to the state-run sex offender registry. The National Practitioners Data Bank, which the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services operates, collects disciplinary reports from state boards, clinics, and hospitals, and merges the records with medical insurers' malpractice payouts. The information is not publicly accessible, but the federal government publishes an annual report of the data bank's findings. In Mississippi, disciplinary actions are public, but finding them on the licensure board's website can be challenging. From the homepage, it isn't immediately clear how to find information about doctors. The license tab on the navigation bar takes you to general information about how to get licensed. Follow the complaint tab, and you'll find information about how to file a complaint. To find what you're looking for, you must use the search bar at the top of the screen and type in a name or click the licensee search link in the middle of the homepage. That leads to a searchable database of active licensees only. That notably and unlike other board sites does not include doctors with current suspensions. You can also search board actions by month going back to 2008. Sometimes, though, information is missing. In our analysis of all the doctors with disciplinary records, 1 in 5 show up as no documents found. This is what was written at the bottom, and I'll be done with this. The medical board's website can be confusing to navigate, especially when looking for a licensee. Compared to Tennessee's comparable site, it takes twice as many clicks to get to any reference of sexual misconduct on Mississippi's site and through a chain of links and databases. This is said information. There's more in here. This is a very long information, but you can read it. MississippiToday.org if you want to finish the article. Night Owl, when was the last time that you had a conversation about your surgery pertaining to Dr. Norwood?
The last time, well, now, but before now, the last time that I really spoke about this, I spoke about it with family because
no, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, did you last talk to someone at the doctor's office about seeing him?
About him, that would be back in the end of 2018, beginning of 2019.
So December 18?
Yeah, December 18.
Because I'm trying to get a time frame of when he had these issues. Trying to go back.
Yeah. That'll be in 2018.
Okay.
The last time I spoke to the source that I had there pertaining to him, because like I said,
somebody at the doctor's office about seeing him, period. The last time you were in the doctor's office, what year was that?
The last time I was in the office was June of 2019.
2019. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That really makes no sense. June of 19.
Yeah, because I had surgery in 19, so I had a follow-up in June.
So he already, so the treatment that came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
The rest of all that, the indictments came forward in the spring of 19, if I'm not mistaken.
In 18. They started in 16.
Yeah. Well, the allegations started 16.
Yeah. And like I said, you say what now?
Nobody believed him. That 16 is when somebody came forward. They didn't believe it.
Yeah, they didn't believe. I was told after everything was like on the news. That's when I found out about the allegation in 16, and I was kind of confused. Like if an allegation came out in 16, I thought that they automatically like place them on some type of probation or suspension until they do the case. But as I told you all the other night, this is Mississippi, so everything is backwards. I didn't understand how he was able to continue on from 16 to 17 to 18.
That's why I brought your source to show you. Somebody came forward in 16, but they did not do anything because there was no evidence. So naturally he could still work. That's just somebody
Right.
coming forward. That's not a charge. It's not an indictment. That's just somebody coming forward. And that's what I'm trying to get an understanding is that he got sentenced in December of 19. So common sense will tell you this had been ongoing late 18, because that's what one of the cases says, from 16 to 18. So if I'm not mistaken, it was spring 19 that he actually got charged. So I just don't understand why they even took you as a patient. It doesn't make any sense.
Like I said, I don't either. Like I said, I was referred, and so
See,
when I
right
was
here.
referred, I didn't.
South
Okay,
gynecologist
see,
is
listen.
sentenced to 10 years
Hold on,
in prison
hold on.
after sexually assaulting multiple patients.
It
WMC
won't
Action
stop.
News 5's Brandon
Alright.
Richard was
This
in
thing
the
won't even
DeSoto
stop
County
talking.
courtroom for
Oh,
today's
Lord.
sentencing.
April 12th. It says was indicted on April 12th of sexual this thing won't even stop talking. April 12th of 2019. He was charged. So that didn't make any sense for you to even be going to the doctor. You said, when was it, June or July?
That's when I met with the other doctor. Remember, another doctor came in when he was going through the probe.
Assaulting his patients.
Okay.
When they hadn't finished him, right? He was just losing his license. So then they brought in another doctor in the facility to take his place.
Attorney Murray Wells
And that's the doctor that ended up doing my surgery, because I had signed papers under him. So I had to go back through that process when the new doctor came in. Because at this time, remember, I said his office kept saying he was coming back. And each couple of months that I would check in to see what's going on, it started off with he was investigated. Then it went to the board meeting. Then it went to they waiting on the decision from the board. Then it went into he was losing his license. Then it went into he was surrendering to jail. It was a very long process. Like it didn't happen.
When was the first time they told you he could not perform? Do you even remember the month that you first even went to him?
I don't remember the exact month, cause let's see. Hold on.
I'm trying to show just cause that they knew what was up. That's what I'm taking. That's what I'm
Dr.
taking.
Norwood, I want to say it had to be in like the summer of 18. No. It had to be like February or March of 18.
Okay, hold on. Just hold on a minute. So I'm trying to go back. Okay.
Nancy, from my gathering, he had been practicing for years.
Yeah, I already said 15 years.
15 years, like it was years.
So I'm trying to start where it started. See, right here, 15 years, right here. Okay, let me see. Okay, so see, the count one is that I brought you, that was 2016, but that's the point. At the time, they didn't do anything because it was unsubstantiated. The one from 16. What I'm trying to do is get a time frame of when you started going versus them knowing he was under investigation. That's why I was asking about that. Okay. So see, right here it even shows he's supposed to be in court April 12th. So that means this stuff was brewing beforehand. So that didn't make any sense for you to have been going to see him in June if he was supposed to be showing up in court in April. Because this article is 2019. If I go back up here to the top, hold on, these phones are so slow.
Yeah, because in 2019 he was completely gone, and they had a new doctor.
Okay, well that's what I'm saying. April 3rd, 2019 is when this was uploaded. But you said your initial visit with him was in 18.
Yeah, I met him like a year prior to all of this going on.
Okay, you met him what, like the summer 18?
It was like fall, March. It was like February or March of 18.
February, March of 18. Okay. God, why don't this phone does not want to act right for some reason? It's always like this when you're talking about the devil. Don't nothing ever. No, I'm serious. That's when the screens jump and you can't even scroll up to get the information. This is weird.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's showing here. This is uploaded the 19th, April 3rd. So he turned himself in March 14th. month before for the charges.
Mm-hmm.
And all it started in July of 2016. But as I state, nobody believed it. So it went on another year before somebody else came forward. See, that's the interesting part, which leads me to think that possibly it's true, because there's a big gap in between when somebody first came forward and nobody believed that person. And then somebody came forward again, and then that's when they took it serious. Because then I guess they felt like, okay, too much time come forward. Here's another random person coming forward. Now we also found out that there was a minor, and that was her testimony in that video I just played you. And she went and told her mother, but she didn't file any formal charges. They just latched on to the lawyer to do a lawsuit against the said doctor. But nonetheless, this is what I'm going to say about this, because I'm going way over my time and trying to get all this out. I think when the young girl who just testified in this video said she was getting sick, then he wanted her to come back, that was the ruse. That was the ruse, is to get you to come back. Because see, when I go back in here and read the counts by each person, the one thing that I thought was odd is when it says, for instance, count 9. January 1st, 2016 and April 30th, 2018. You see, that's where there's a problem. If this is the same person, you went to him on January 1st, and then you went back, April 30th, 2 years later, sexual battery. You see where I'm going with that?
Mm-hmm.
He's molesting them every time they come back. That's the ruse, is to get you to come back. Which naturally, if you're having problems, you're going to come back to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to come back, such as this one, count 12. Between March 1st and March 31st, now that could just mean they don't remember the exact time he went to see the person, which I don't believe that, because we know doctors keep records of when they have visits. It just seems to me these people went back more than once to see the doctor, if I'm comprehending this correctly. And that's why that girl made the comment saying, I went and had a procedure done. I still felt worse. I still felt sick. Then I went back, and he kept prolonging to put the surgery off. That's the ruse right there, is to get you to come back so he can fill you up. Obviously, he didn't give a damn that you were sick, in pain, whatever you were going through, what symptoms you had. That's his ruse. I got to get her back in this office. I'm going to put her off and not set up the surgery because I want to fill her up. I mean, that's just how sick he is. And he's willing to watch you probably have female problems exacerbate just so he can get a feel. And then you see this child taking pictures. The child gave him her camera, which I don't even know why the hell you would give your doctor your camera. This makes no sense. There's no way I'm going to be going to a doctor to get that done. You're going to look down there at my girlfriend, and then the doctor turns to me and says, well, Angela, I need your phone. For what? What you need my phone for? You understand what I'm saying?
Like, how that even come up in the conversation? Like,
okay, well, it did, but it did. And the point is,
I mean, I know. I'm saying, like, if I was there with you, I'd be like, the phone. Well, I mean, what do my phone got to do?
She should have known better than to give her damn phone to her doctor. You should know that anything you get done at the doctor's office is done by a machine. If it's something internally they want to see, and they'll tell you, we're gonna take you to the X-ray. X-ray's gonna come get you. Doctors don't even do X-rays. That's for radiology. Right. And most people know that. So I'm trying to figure out how old is this girl, because in my mind, and I'm not trying to be nasty and blame her, but what I'm saying is right then she should have known your doctor. Why would your doctor want to take your phone while you're sitting in there and say, I'm going to take pictures? The average kid is kind of swift. Most young people are swift. They'd say, you need my phone for what? What you going to do with my phone? Oh, I'm going to take some pictures. Oh, what? So then she said, oh, it threw me off once I saw the bulb flash. And I realized my phone was on silent. But I think your phone will probably still flash even on silent. It's not going to ring on silent. Mm-hmm. But it's going to flash probably with a flash. See, all that's crazy. That's crazy to me. So then you have to ask yourself this. Did she even have photos of her vagina on her phone? Because you got to remember, that's the ruse he used. Hey, let me use your telephone. Let me see your telephone.
Right.
The one with the camera, yes, was the minor, the girl that was speaking just now in the video. You should have known better when he asked for your phone. You should have kind of got up and said, you know what? I got to go. Because there's no way you're supposed to be giving your phone to a doctor for any reason. Why would a doctor need your phone? Then you realize something's wrong once you're up in the stirrups, and he's then took a photo. So he didn't take a picture of her vagina with his phone. Because then I think she said, oh, I looked over and saw my phone laying down. So see, this is just bullshit. But then another thing I'm worried, kind of concerned, well, not worried, but leery of why her mom, if I went to my mom after leaving out of there and I told him I ain't coming back, why, when you went and told your mother, why wouldn't she then go call the board and say, this is what happened to my kid? Instead, all this gets jumped on with a lawyer to file a lawsuit with other people. See, now I would have called the board. That way they would have had a formal complaint against him. Mm-hmm. Because you see, a lot of the people who've gotten latched on to the lawyer, they haven't filed a formal complaint. That's why they didn't take it serious with the one girl who has a report with the police department.
Right.
Well, I don't know about who was in the room, all that. Obviously, nobody was there because she had to go tell her mama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she had to be alone for him to take the picture, but that's what I'm saying.
I know it was his fault. What I'm saying is, you know, a doctor's not supposed to be asking to use your telephone during a visit. I would have got up and left out of there. That's what I'm saying. Because anybody should have known something wasn't right as soon as he asked for the telephone. But that's my commentary. That's just what he did. He got y'all to come back. That's how he was able to do what he did. That's why he kept putting people off to come back and put their surgeries off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a very tedious process. From the time I met, like I said, when all of this happened, I was just at home and Fox 13 came on, and I was looking. I was like,
look at Crystal. I lit up the office. Okay, Crystal.
The office is shut down. It's now something else. It's an eye doctor office now. It's no longer there. Yeah, it was the OBGYN office. Is now an eye doctor office.
Well, as you see, it's like anywhere in the world. You've got some really nasty people out here. As you see, I brought you information about the Caucasian doctor who was sleeping with his patients and made children with his patients. And he married one of his patients, assumingly. So obviously this goes on and on. That's what took up all my time. The first, 40 minutes of this live was bringing you information pertaining to the first Black doctor and then the second doctor who also was practicing in the state of Mississippi. I brought you commentary about him. He's gotten some women pregnant, 2 if I'm not mistaken, and 1 he tried to abort her baby during a procedure. The crazy part is that, damn, I don't know what to think about the one person who saw him, the physician assistant. She sees him in there kissing the girl, but like he said, if y'all should have documented that that's my girlfriend who just happened to be coming in to see me, pregnant or whatever the situation is, and then he later marries her. So conveniently that married later. What I was trying to find out is what he's doing right now, and has he been to court? You know what I'm saying, for those said allegations, but I couldn't find anything. So
of course you ain't gonna find nothing on him. I mean, that's weird too, because when we heard about that, it was like, what? And then when the lady said, oh, well, he was kissing her, then that's my fiance, then we got married, it was just like, well, instead of giving her husband money, I'm just gonna marry her.
Well, and one could think that, because like I said, you got to look at the time frame of when he met her, when he was dating her, what's the proof and how long he dated her, what's the proof, what's the time frame of the allegation that the girl, the physician assistant saw him kiss her versus when he actually, when the allegation came forward on that kiss, then the time frame after that when he married her. because you know naturally
And
they
he
give.
was bold with it. I heard when you read the article how he was bold with it. He wasn't gonna answer no question. He gonna do what he want to do.
Well, but that's a narcissist way. That's a narcissist sociopath way. I do what I want. I don't have to talk about it because I'm God. That's his take on it. I'm God. I'm running the show. I can do what I want. It's my party. I'll cry if I want to. Well, I'm not really going to cry about it because, hell, I'm not guilty. I don't give a damn.
And then he didn't get one patient pregnant, got another one pregnant, then tried to abort the It was like, I don't know what kind of mission he was on.
Well,
destructive.
Well, my thing is, it's proof that he has screwed him. Excuse my language, because the fact that you tried to put the what you call it, suppositories inside, that showed me right there. They talked. She told him what was going on. Oops, I'm pregnant by you. Oh, baby, come on in here. Let me, you know, understand what I'm saying? Let me handle this. But he didn't tell her that, oh, by the way, this visit is, I'm going to try to get this baby out of you. Because 9 times out of 10, they've already talked. They've already talked. She ain't giving up the baby. So I'll bring her in and I'll put in this suppository, which I've never heard of anything such. I heard of the morning after pill. I ain't never heard of no putting in no suppository before. This is weird. I need to talk to somebody about that right now. Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I was, but first of all, happy Easter, everyone, and
Thank
everyone in the chat. I was just going to tell you a little, the story that I was listening to is just crazy. Crazy. There's some crazy doctors out there. I was going to give you a little bit of a backstory on what I went through. I had mentioned it earlier in the chat. I was very young and naive, in my very early 20s, married, very good shape, skied all the time. It was in the summer, very tan, and I was going for my yearly, and nurse in the room, doctor, and very good shape, and was having a breast exam, sitting up on the table, arms above your head, doing the whole 9 yards. And the doctor kept giving me the creeps, and he kept commenting about how tan I was, how good shape I was. And he just kept going on and kept going on and kept going on. And at that time, I mean, I didn't need to wear a bra if I didn't want to.
Okay.
And he just kept going on about how tan I was.
How old were you at the time?
20, 21, maybe. And he just kept going, no children, but he just kept going on and on. And then he kept digging a little deeper. Well, what lake do you ski at? Well, what do you do? Do you have any children? And I said, no, I don't have any children. And I was getting embarrassed. And the nurse just kept standing there. And he kept going on, well, you really are tan. You really are in good shape. You really, and you don't have to wear a bra. And I was just like, just kept sitting there. And then he kept digging a little deeper. Well, what time do you go skiing? And I just didn't say anything. You know, I just kept sitting there. And finally, when he was done with the breast exam and he left the room, the nurse apologized. And I didn't, you know, I was very young and very naive. I didn't know what to do. When I got out of there, I didn't go back to that doctor. But, you know, and so with that one experience, I have really schooled my children. Now, you know, as the years have gone on, the heck no, I would never put up with anything like that. But going back to that experience, I have told my children, no. Especially, I had all girls.
Okay.
You know, I'm like, no, you don't do this. You don't let something like that happen. And I make sure that I have gone in with my girls and, you know, taught them and schooled them and stuff. But yeah, that was weird. That was creepy. Okay. And let alone on no aspects did I ever go through what these poor women or Night Owl has ever had to experience. Okay. But, you know, that was creepy.
Well, let me say this to you all, because I'm on the phone right now in Messenger text with a nurse as I speak, a registered nurse, and I asked, do docs have abortion suppositories? Her answer is no. And I just asked her to ask her what it was that he was put into her, which she probably don't know, but I'm waiting on her response. But the main answer is no. So what the hell was he putting inside of her to abort the baby? Because she says there are no abortion suppositories.
What was he doing then? Was he trying to insert some kind of a tool, or
Listen, she said it was a suppository.
Well,
but the nurse said there are no abortion suppository. She says, not sure, but I have never known of a suppository in over 30 years. And this is a registered nurse that just messaged me.
That's weird.
Because you already know that if it was an abortion, you know she would feel some discomfort. Because I've heard it's not uncomfortable.
No, yes, and I can unfortunately speak to that. It is not.
So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know what he was telling her he was doing. Obviously, that's what he said. That's what this article, one of the articles, is alleging. But this nurse is saying there is no abortion suppository, and I haven't heard of one myself. And I'm not a medical doctor.
No, I've had to have some medical work done and some DNC and stuff like that. And I mean, I've had to have some medical work done down there, and that is not anything.
Because let's be truthful, they have suppositories. That wouldn't cost nothing but a few dollars if that's the case. Put something up in you and let it disseminate. Abort the child.
That's crazy. I've never heard of anything like that.
Well, he was probably down there doing something he had no business.
Well, exactly.
And illegal.
And that's the wolf doctor, right?
And that's what he told her. This is the white doctor.
Yeah, the wolf doctor.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, he needs to have his license removed too. Mm-hmm. He was creepy too.
And you see, I couldn't pull up nothing pertaining to what's going on with the case, if he's still what's going on. But I think I pulled up the article that shows he's not practicing. Mm-mm.
Well, I'll tell you what. And you were saying, if I understood you correctly, that the minor was the one that was she in that room by herself?
Well, she had to be, because she said when she came out, she went and told her mother. Hold on. Let me pull it up.
That
acting up.
I don't know, but in Oklahoma, you cannot go. In Oklahoma, where I am from, they will not let a minor go into an examination room without a parent.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it. It's taking forever. Oh, Lord. Hold on. Just a second.
Now, I don't know what it's like in other states, but I do know.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, I don't understand why.
Now, I also have a special needs daughter, and even though she's 18, I still go in the room with her.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. She said her first visit went fine. She'd been referred to a well-respected OBGYN in Northwest Mississippi after a clinic examination determined she had abnormal cervical cells that needed scraping. The doctor's affable, laid-back demeanor put Danielle at ease. Second visit raised Danielle's suspicions. A complication during her first procedure had left her bedridden with pain and caused heavy bleeding. At her next appointment, the doctor asked her to strip naked. Danielle, then 27, was confused why a nurse was not present like previous gynecological exams with other doctors. Okay, that's a 27-year-old talking about. Okay, but that girl who was talking, wait a minute. Let's see. I'm assuming the girl talking was the minor. Let's see. Wait. Let me go back. I wonder if that was the minor or not, because now I'm getting confused. Let's see. 27. Why would I need to undress? He also made me feel uncomfortable. Okay. She made the hour drive. He again asked her to remove her clothes, just check her full breast. This doesn't sound like a child to me. As I said, 27, because it doesn't break up. Okay, said during another full breast and pelvic exam involving what seemed to her inappropriate and unnecessary probing, the doctor asked Danielle for her cell phone so he could take pictures. Is he fixing to do some research or something? She remembers rationalizing at the time. I'm thinking to myself, he's a doctor. Maybe he's going to show me what's going on or something. So this one, it goes on to describe him getting the click of a camera, phone shutter, startled her because she had placed her phone on silent. She realized the doctor was using his own phone. By the end of the exam, she was disoriented, embarrassed, and angry. Never mind about rescheduling the surgery, she told Dr. Gregory Norwood before leaving his office for the last time. I immediately went and told my mom and found another gynecologist because I knew it wasn't right. So I guess that's where we got it mixed up. She just went home and told her mother about it, but she didn't file a complaint. See, that's the weird thing. She said months before, a woman had filed a sexual misconduct complaint against Norwood and the Mississippi Board of Licensure. I don't know, but I believe in one of the videos they mentioned that one of the girls was a minor. But this girl here, I don't think was a minor. So let me.
So that one is the 27-year-old that gave him her camera?
Like, yeah, the one with the camera, yes, looks like it's the 27-year-old. Because it doesn't
That's
break
a fool.
somebody else.
Handing no 20. If I was 27, I would not be handing no doctor my phone.
That's what I said. That's why I said that seems strange. Even if it was a kid, a 16-year-old or 15, this just seems odd that anybody would hand their phone over to their doctor.
Yeah. Now, a younger person, I don't even find that strange for a younger person because the phone is there. That's like an appendage to them. But an older woman, that's even worse. An adult, a 27-year-old. You're like, what?
Yes. But I think in the video they mentioned that there was a child in one of the accusations. That's where. I don't know why I kept thinking this lady. I think what threw me off is when she said, I went home and told my mom, not thinking it was an adult that told her mother. Because it just said that she drove. And she said, is he fixing to do some research or something? She remembers rationalizing at the time. I'm thinking to myself, he's the doctor. Maybe he's going to show me what's going on or something. The click of a camera, phone, shutter startled her because she had placed her phone on silent.
No.
It's very strange.
No.
Yeah. Because I know in here there was a child. I think it was in one of the videos.
I'm only saddened to know that doctor that Night Owl went to. I'm sorry, I've forgotten his last name.
Yeah,
but
it's the same one we're talking about, the one that took the picture.
Oh, what?
Yeah, this is the same
How
one.
many other victims are there prior to the one that was finally believed? So that's what's sad.
Yeah, this is very, very strange.
And it makes you think, how many other doctors are there out there that have gotten their licenses to practice under nefarious reasons?
Well, I gave you the stats of Mississippi, and that's not good.
And under nefarious reasons.
Okay, just like this right here. Read this to you. Norwood continued practicing medicine with an unrestricted license until more victims came forward.
That's sad.
That's why I was trying to get Night Owl to give me a time frame of when she first went to him versus how long this all was going on. See, according to board investigators, reports obtained by Mississippi Today and WLBT, one patient said Norwood put both his hands down her pants. Another one said he fondled and placed his fingers inside her vagina. Norwood asked another woman during a pelvic exam whether she thought about men other than her husband. Records show he asked another patient if he could put his mouth on her nipple, and yet another if she knew the depth of her vaginal vault. So these are all different people giving commentary. I don't think they all made that up.
No, that is very vulgar.
So
that
he didn't like to talk. Besides him touching, he was bold enough to conversate.
Yeah, that is extremely vulgar.
Child, let me see. See right here, it says Yale did not file a complaint with the board, but is one of the 13 women Memphis-based Wells and Associates is representing. So see, she didn't file a formal complaint. She must have heard about the other complaints, and when she heard about the lawyer being involved, that's when she latched on, I guess, to the lawyer, one of the lawyers.
Just from the conversation the other night, I could imagine Night Owl's husband coming to, if he would have known, if that doctor would have spoke to Night Owl in oh my word.
It would have been a whole different story. It wouldn't have been that one.
It wouldn't have been in the news like that.
It wouldn't have been in the news. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's this thing about that girl.
That is awful.
I think that was one
Anthony,
of the.
do you see somebody in backstage, Shauna?
Well, I'm going to jump back off here and get back down in the chat. Much love to everybody. I'm going to get back down in there.
Okay, honey. I'll take you down.
Right.
Okay.
Hi, you guys. Happy Easter.
Hello.
Hey, so mine is not it's not anything sexual, but I had like a malpractice situation where in 2012, my daughter's now 8 years old, but in 2012 I was pregnant and I was throwing up like a lot. Like I couldn't hold down my food or anything for like, I want to say like a week straight. And so at the time, my sister and her girlfriend was staying with me. And so they were like, you need to go to the hospital. I was like, no, like I'm just sick or whatever. It's the baby, whatever. So I ended up going to the hospital after feeling like I was going to die, like literally like crawling on the floor and everything. So I get to the hospital and they told me, oh, well, you're pregnant. You need to go home because you have a cyst on your ovary and just be on bed rest for a couple of days. I want to say 2 months. No, I'm lying. I was 3.
Oh, what's wrong? Oh, Lord. Something fell off.
Yeah, she was talking.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Jump out. Oh, can you?
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know what happened. The internet. Wi-Fi. I'm not having no trouble. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Because I'm sitting here trying to figure out what happened. I'm going to read some of the comments. I wonder how many women may have also had consensual affairs with him. I mean, obviously he was confident enough to come out and say things like that. Perhaps sometimes it worked for him. That's Danny's comment. Sorry, I'm ignoring your comments. I didn't mean to ignore your comments. I was trying to let them hear what Night Owl had to say and what Nancy had to say. Okay. The connection is off. Crystal said the connection is off.
I can hear you just fine.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay, because I couldn't hear myself. What'd she say? I didn't have a doctor that even if you just had a cold, he wanted to take x-ray. Oh, no, I missed her comment. Dang. Wait a minute. I have to go back in here and pull it up because I can't see how to get back in there. Well, let me make that clear. That wasn't one of the children, the one with the phone. Somehow I kept thinking that was a child. But it states it was a 27-year-old. But it was stated in one of the videos that a child is one of the complaints, which is very strange. Why anybody would try to molest a child, but I don't even know why I'm saying that because people molest kids all the time. So I'm trying to find her comment. Oh, she said, I did have a doctor that even if you just had a cold, he wanted to take x-rays, left him, and years later he ended up in jail and is there to this day. The story is he was a drug, what? He was a drug clinic. Ro, what do you mean? So he went to jail for drugs, using drugs, what?
I think it was like one of them clinics that they just was giving the patients in the car.
Oh, like the pain clinics.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's why I want her to explain what she meant because I'm trying to read some of your comments. Because a lot of you have been talking in comments, and I didn't mean to ignore you. He has gotten away with it for so long that he felt very confident he was untouchable. Yes, that's what I think too. I think he felt that way, especially the white doctor, because he made it seem like it was a big joke that they were even that there were allegations brought forward.
Right.
Right.
Well, he knew where he was at.
Yes, yes, yes. So now if you to go to get a pelvic exam done, Night Owl, would you prefer that you have a woman gynecologist?
I still prefer a male. And I take the one.
Let's say it again. You do prefer a male?
Yes.
A man?
Yes.
Why?
Except for this doctor, I've had females before, and some were very short. They didn't seem very knowledgeable. Just from the few that I have met over the years, the men seem to be a little more knowledgeable.
They all went to school for the same thing. They all went to school and graduated. Now they really can't believe you saying that.
Right, but some doctors, even though they went to school, some have good bedside manner and some don't.
So you saying you wouldn't trust a woman? Well, all my medical exams, I've only had maybe one done by a male, and that was in college, my first year of college. But all the rest, to my recollection, have all been women LPNs. They were LPNs.
I have a woman now, but so I no longer have to have them.
Because I'm trying to jog my memory back to one time I may have had to go to one, and if I had, it's one or twice total in my entire lifetime of getting pap smears and girly exams. I have not had no multitude of men ever doing any of the exams. And that's why it's kind of throwing me off when you say that. Because
since I don't have to have them now, I have a woman
here. When I go to the health department here, the ones I was going to at the time, there were always women there. I've never saw a man ever in the health department doing any pap smears. Never.
Yeah, now when I went to clinics, like the health department, I had
not
women.
Even a male nurse, not even a male LPN, not even a male registered nurse. I mean, not never.
Yeah, I had all that. I have all. Most time when I go to the ER,
Crystal, what are you saying? Crystal, you need to come up.
I have male RNs.
What you're saying?
Female RNs, but it's a lot of male RNs here now at the hospital.
I have a female gynecologist just because they're more sensitive in that area. Okay. I have always had a woman, and I have never had a bad example, and I have a lot of medical issues. Yeah, well, see, I haven't had any men. That's why I say the first one was in college, and that's like 30 years ago. But all the other times I've had my pelvic exams, they were done by a female. And I never had any type of problems with the women being rude, nasty, facetious, nothing. Any type of problem. So, baby.
Hey, happy Easter to everybody.
Easter. So turn your background down, baby.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay, I think I can. I get the echo.
Now, how about now?
Okay, go ahead. Let me see if I can hear you.
So I understand what Night Owl's saying, as far as females versus males. Male doctors, to me, seem that they are more in tuned with not hurting the female and whatnot. I mean, I know that they both went to school for the same thing, but it seems to me that the female doctor, she rushes through the exam than a male doctor. A male doctor, to me, is more in detailed. That they are. They're more detailed than the female doctor. That's just my experience.
Okay.
So I prefer a male doctor. My daughter prefers a male doctor.
I feel more comfortable with a woman looking down there myself.
Yeah, I just think that
I just prefer a man. It's just the women that I had were very like short.
Because of the problems that we're discussing, I would see a woman wanting a female LPN or obstetrician, whatever you want to call it, for that reason. So it wouldn't be no hanky panky going on. Nobody looking, lurking, making no type of remarks, grunting. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I don't even think of the experience, because I know if you ain't got no experience, you'll not talk. You'll not if you can't answer the questions I'm asking you, that'll tell me that possibly you don't know what you're saying. Then I wonder how you got your credentials. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have not. Every nurse I've ever had, like I said, LPN or registered, I never had a problem ever. They were never rude. They were never nasty. They made sure, they would speak to me, ask me what was going on. If I had any problems, then they tell me to disrobe. I'll be back in. I'm going to tap on the door before I open the door. Come in, tell you what to do, scoot all the way to the edge. You know the routine. I ain't no problems. That's why it's weird hearing y'all say you rather have a man, because I haven't had any problems ever.
Yeah, I had problems with females.
Nasty whatever looking down there. I've had a nasty doctor in general. He was just a nasty practitioner. He was an Indian doctor. He was just effing rude. They finally got rid of him because they had complaints, too many complaints. And my thing was, when you knew he was nasty, his disposition was very nasty. And he was short. He was the type, he didn't want you to say what extra was wrong with you. Because, here in Tennessee, we had this issue with you can only come in with like 3 complaints. 5
complaints. Yeah, here.
The list on the door is like, you can only say this, this, and this. After that, your toe burning off, you better say your toe burning off instead of you saying you got acid reflux. You feel what I'm saying?
What? They had that there?
Yeah, they had this here in
Mississippi. That's so they can get more patients in. Because you got to think, if you in there, you got the gift of gab, you're holding up the doctor by talking and talking and talking. So guess what? That's taking up their time, because really they feel like in 15 minutes you should be done telling the doctor what's going on. The doctor rendering a synopsis of what's going on. Poof, your tail should be out of there. So it was a time clock. It became a time clock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not good. They still do that?
I haven't had that issue recently. Maybe I guess it depends on where you're going.
Okay.
Yeah. But some of them did not want you telling anything past about 3 ailments. Okay, well, that's enough. Cut you off. Tell me later when you come back the next time. Well, hell, if I got a spot on my leg and I'm thinking it could be a blood clot or something like that, why you want me to wait and come back? It's very, very. That doctor. He was something else, and I told him how I felt. I had to complain. I said, I'm walking around with this bruise on my leg. I want it checked out so I can make sure it's not anything serious.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that he was just foul.
I'm surprised he didn't have all kind of medical malpractice with that. You can't just tell somebody, okay, pick 3 things to talk about. Okay, my arm, my leg.
But that's what they did. I'm telling you, I remember one time it was up on the door.
That's crazy.
You only have this many complaints. It was either between 3 or 5. After that number, it wouldn't matter what you had to say. They'd have to ignore you and tell you to come back.
Wow.
Because they're trying to get more patients in. That's the gist
money
of the medical field, is to get more people in. The more I can fit in, the more money we can make.
Yep.
So think about it. If the doctor sits here and he whines and cries with you, then you whine and you cry with the doctor. You could be there an hour talking about bicycles and toys instead of you know how it can get off track.
Yeah.
Off track. So
Yeah.
I understand, but it comes across as like rude and to make a person feel like, okay, well, I gotta hurry up and get in here. So I always tell people, if you got major stuff, just mention the most major issues, such as your heart,
Yeah.
can't breathe, or I mean, the things that have caused you to, leave here quickly.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because sometimes if you start mentioning too many things, I think they'll probably tell you, well, okay, well, they'll try to coax their way out of it. Okay, well, they'll come back to next time and we'll discuss your other ailments or whatever. You know how it goes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I don't do that. I got smart with them. What I started doing is if something nagging me and I don't have but one or two things I can tell them, I just go to the ER. And then the ER said, well, okay, we'll follow up with the doctor in 1 day, 2 days. I go right on back to the doctor, and then we got to talk about it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally the doctor was like, you know what, Miss Night, just tell us everything going on, because we see that it's a lot and you've been to the ER, and that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you got to think about people who can't afford the ER. You know the ER cost, so they'll tell you that it better be life threatening going to the ER. Your medical insurance there too, because they can stop the flow with that too. Like when you just going there for frivolous stuff, you need to go there like when it's time to get an arm amputated or you having a heart attack or a stroke.
Yes, they call me. They be like, well, what's going on and how you feeling? Why you didn't go to the urgent care? Well, if I thought the urgent care could handle it, I would go. I've been to the urgent care. They can only do so much. They're very limited.
Yeah, well, everybody knows clinics only do basic things.
The insurance company don't care.
Clinics are not really for people that's got like ongoing health care, because at some point you've got to go see a surgeon or a specialist, and that's where the problem is. And you need to be able to have access to the surgeon and the specialist, and not somebody that's going to be dicking you around and playing hopscotch on the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
Because every day is vital when you're in need of seeing a specialist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and that's what I have now. So.
Well, let's see, it's 15 after. This is a very interesting conversation about this doctor. I'd never heard the story about him. Mr. Norwood, as I stated, he's currently incarcerated, serving 10 years for sexual assault. He was charged with only one count. He did plead guilty to that count, I guess, to get it over with, as to not have the women endure open trials. But those other cases were remanded by file, which I don't even know what that means. I'll have to Google that because that's a very odd state. I don't understand what that statement means. So that makes me wonder, does that mean they're going to stay on file to further notice? What? The state going to investigate those said charges? What? Do you understand what I'm saying? Or they're going to push him under the rug because he's already pled guilty to the one. Kind of like more or less, it seemed like to me it was more or less a plea. I'll go ahead and plead to the one count just to get this over with and make them shut up. But hell, one count was 10 years. But we know why. Because he was a doctor, not some random guy filling up your private parts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. He took an oath.
And I would like to point out he was married. I don't know if he's still married.
Yeah, I never heard it. And you know what? None of that was mentioned in those few little articles that I just brought. Really? Did he have children?
I don't know if he had children. I do know he was married.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What did you say?
So, I don't know. It's just very sad.
I like to find a good naturopathic doctor because they make 2-hour-long appointments with you and go over everything, including prevention, not just write RX and send you on your way. Well, Danny, that's the whole point of what we're saying. Doctors can't spend 2 hours with you in a doctor's office. There's just no way a doctor can spend 2 hours. That's too long to be in a doctor's office for me. I don't want to be in a doctor's office 2 hours. I don't want to be in a doctor's office that long. Now, I don't want you rushing me or cutting me off, but I do not want to be in a doctor's office for 2 hours talking about anything. Because I feel like if I'm in there for 2 hours, there's got to be something wrong with me.
I need to be at the ER.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, everybody's different, but I don't want to be in the doctor's office. That's just a long time because you got to count getting there, how long it took you to get there. How did you get there before your time? If you had to fill out any paperwork, then your wait time to see the doctor, and then you want to sit in there for 2 hours. I can't do that.
That look like a whole day process.
Well, I did it once like a fool. This one black doctor, he said he was the best. No, it was like damn near 8 hours. I got there after 1. I did not get out that doctor's office until after 11 p.m.
What?
About 10 hours. And I mean, he was packed. I guess that's how good of a doctor he was, because the waiting room was packed. And I had to then leave there, go into the night, go get the prescription for what I had. It was just crazy because I had told myself he was a great doctor. He was very thorough, and he even pronounced some ailments that I would later end up having later in life, which was the arthritis. He saw all that in the beginning. It's like he was a magician, but this magician had too many damn patients, and he should have never, what I call overbooking, like a black hair salon. You booking 3 or 4 people for the same time.
Right.
Because there's just no reason for you to have that many patients in a waiting room and they're not getting seen in a timely fashion. There's no way you should ever be, as I said, you should not be in no doctor's office 2 and 3 hours. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I ain't never heard you beat me with the 11 o'clock, because when I first met Dr. Norwood, my very first appointment, my appointment was at 1. I left the office at 5.
It was probably 11:30 when I got out of there. It was after 11. I remember that because it was dark. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember I had to go to the pharmacy, and I didn't want to have to come back out the next day. So I went straight to the 24-hour pharmacist. I believe it was probably Walgreens. And it was a little ways from that hospital. It was a nightmare. And I was thinking to myself, he was nice. He was kind. He was very thorough. That wasn't the problem. It was the wait. But I still blame him because whoever is his scheduler, they knew better. You knew better than have all of us piled in there like a bunch of damn animals. That's what it was like. I had never seen anything like it before in all the years I've ever lived and gone to a doctor's office. See that many people piled up in a room on top of each other in a waiting room. It was crazy. It was very, very crazy. Very, very crazy. Very, very crazy.
Well, that's interesting. I would love to hear
you learn something new in the medical field. You always hear really weird stories with doctors.
Yes.
You hear very weird stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about what was said? You sleep.
You said what?
I said, Crystal, how do you feel about the information with the doctor and the complaints? Do you believe that they all were true or made up? What do you think?
Well, the suppository one has me thinking.
Like what? I'll just repeat what you sent me in the what you thought was about the numbing.
Yeah, because they do have suppositories that numb you for minor procedures.
Mm-hmm.
They do have that, but as far as a suppository, especially if it's kind of like the day after pill.
That's what I said. That's why I said I hadn't heard of that. I don't think I heard I was the day after pill, morning after pill.
So, and it all depends on how far along a patient is on what medication they will receive to have, a natural abortion. I call it a natural abortion, and then of course, they have the suction thing that they take it out. But for medications, though, it just all depends on. I don't see
doing that. I don't guess because if he had done an abortion, wouldn't the baby have been aborted? I think they said she had the baby anyway.
And abortions are illegal in Mississippi unless you go to Jackson.
Well, Night Owl, we're talking about a person that likes touching women.
So I don't even know how he thought
what's legal or not.
No, what I'm saying, I don't even know how he thought he would get, away with that.
Well, but this is the thing. I tell y'all this all the time. Don't ask why. Ask why not. You're thinking from a logical. I'm gonna keep saying it till I stop doing this damn YouTube. I do what I want because I can.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna prove I took a baby out of her womb? Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because then now I have to tell you why he would take a baby out my womb. Think about that. If you went to complain, filed a report, and said, I went to my doctor and told him I was pregnant, and he aborted my baby, and then they're gonna say, excuse me? Well, you told your doctor you was pregnant? Yes, because I've been screwing him. He's the baby daddy.
Oh, yeah. Does it say how many weeks or anything she was or anything like that?
I would have read it now, baby.
Yeah. Oh.
But that's what I'm saying. Who is going to believe that? That your doctor, who is now your baby daddy, is also your abortionist? Shut your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody believe that.
Yeah.
Nobody believe that. What are you talking about, Danny? It's not technically abortion. What are you saying? Nancy, what are you saying? What are y'all talking about?
They're going to start going by the weeks.
Okay, Danny said they do have suppositories to induce miscarriage. They soften the cervix. Well,
right, but it doesn't. Right, but it does not. It does not expel completely out, so that she can't call it an abortion. It doesn't completely expel all the way out of the female. Yeah, it opens her up, but that doesn't mean that everything's going to come out either. You get it?
Oh Lord! So what are we not talking about? Partial, that sounds even worse.
Yeah, it's because stuff can be left up in there where it doesn't all come out.
So what's interesting is that now we're sitting here wondering what the hell it was that he put up in her.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
I don't know. How old was she?
Very, very crazy to me.
How old was she again?
That one woman. Well, it just said a patient. I don't think it gave a name. I don't think it gave a time. It didn't give how far pregnant. It just said a woman who claimed she was pregnant. He put something in her, but later had the kid, if I ain't mistaken.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
Hold
so
on.
If that's true, whoever just made the comment, then she would have never had the baby. It would have expelled everything, but obviously it didn't. So therefore, the suppository theory, knock it out.
Let me see. I'm gonna pull up where it said about the children. Hold on 1 second. Lord have mercy, talking about all this crazy nonsense. Jesus wept. Okay, here we go. Let me skim over it.
And then the minor
oxygen is the source. Hold on. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying, honey.
The minor, I don't see how she was in there to see the doctor at all. If you go to a minor goes to the doctor for an earache, I don't care if it's an earache, a nose run, whatever. If they're a minor, the parent has to be in there. That's law. The parent has to stay in that room with that child. So I don't see how.
Hey, honey. Okay, here we go. This is about oxygen if you need verification. Wolf was specifically accused of sexual assault and misconduct by several patients. The board believed he has fathered 2 children with patients and had additionally attempted to non-consensually induce an abortion for 1 patient. And there you have it.
Mm-hmm. And it didn't work. The suppository didn't work. Therefore, she had the baby.
It said attempted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm skimming just to make sure I got all this correct. Okay. Here it is right here. Another accusation stems from a complaint made against Wolf by another patient's ex-husband, who in a lawsuit said that Wolf had an affair with the patient. The complaint from the board states that during sex, Wolf tried to non-consensually insert a misoprostol cytotec tablet
Uh-huh.
the patient's vagina in an attempt to induce an abortion. The
Mhm.
attempt was unsuccessful, and the patient gave birth to the child in 2016. And damn, that's from her husband complaining. Shut your mouth.
Wow.
My patient's ex-husband. So he left her. Or
Yeah.
she him.
Wow.
I'm dead. So he tried to do this to her during sex, is what it says. From the board states that during sex, Wolf tried to non-consensually insert those tablets
Mm-hmm.
in the patient's vagina in an attempt to induce an abortion. The attempt was unsuccessful, and the patient gave birth to the child in 2016.
Yep.
Another patient said that in 2019, Wolf had made inappropriate comments toward her following examination. So they did review the complaints. It said a fellow OBGYN appointed by the board reviewed the complaints that made against Wolf and deemed him a threat to future potential patients and the citizens of Mississippi. Lord have mercy, Jesus. So he been practicing medicine as a gynecologist, obstetrician gynecologist since 1985. He opened up a clinic, in Canton, Mississippi in 1989. He is one of the only two OBGYNs at that time practicing in the Canton area.
Wow. That's why everybody went to him then.
They probably have done a story about him on Oxygen, because for Oxygen to be the source, they've done a documentary about him. Lord Jesus, I'm dead. This is so sick. Oh Lord, I'm done.
Only in the crooked letter.
Okay, Miss L says not in California. Minors have the right to get abortions or prenatal treatment without parental consent or knowledge, I believe. So that would mean parents don't have to be present. Well, Miss Moore, what do you say about that?
I say they can't be. There is an age limit. You can't just go in there at 11 years old or 12 years old. So I debunk that statement.
Well, let me see. Well, we gonna
17 years old, yeah, maybe. 16 years old, yeah. 11 years old, no, you can't. No, there has to be a parent in there with you, with the child.
Can a minor go in and get an abortion in the state of California without a parent?
It should give you an age.
It says here, a minor may consent to an abortion without parental consent and without court permission. The provider can only share the minor's medical records with the signed consent of the minor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is weird. Okay, I'm gonna do this right here. Team source. See. Very interesting. Jesus Christ, what kind of world are we in?
You're a crazy one.
Okay, let's see. If you're under 18, you have the right to birth control, including emergency contraception, testing and treatment for STIs, STDs, pregnancy testing and prenatal care, abortion services, HIV/AIDS testing. You do not need anyone's permission, including your parents or guardians or your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's your right to get these health services confidentially. The clinic or doctor cannot tell anyone why you were there unless you say it's okay.
Well,
and look for the age. It's saying minor under 18. However, if there's an 11-year-old that goes in, it's not going to be done.
Okay.
It won't be done. Not without a parent being there. And now if they're 16, 17, yeah, because that's under 18.
Okay, let's read this right here. This is about the abortion. One of the stipulations. Can anyone make me have an abortion? No, it's your right to stay pregnant and have the baby. Even if you're under 18 or not married, no one can force you to have an abortion or place the baby for adoption. If you decide to give birth, you will need medical care while you're pregnant and after you have the baby. Some state programs will pay for the care you need if you can't afford it. There are also places that can help you if you're under 21 and can't live at home. Let's see.
Mhm.
Let's see. What about my job? What else? I'm pregnant. What can I do? Okay. Okay. If I'm pregnant, what can I do? You can stay pregnant and become a parent, place the baby for adoption, or end the pregnancy by having an abortion. The earlier you know that you're pregnant, the more choices you have. So you should take a pregnancy test right away. If you want to have the baby, you can get prenatal care to stay healthy and have a healthy baby, or you want to have an abortion, it's easier earlier in the pregnancy. Wow,
Mhm.
that's what it's saying about your rights.
Mhm.
Oh, here it is. Do I have to get my parents' permission to get an abortion? No, you do not need anyone's permission, and the law protects your privacy. No one else has the right to know or do anything about it. Not your parents, your boyfriend, your partner, your husband. Even if you are married or under 18, the decision is up to you, but it is very important for you to have someone who can support you, like a parent, counselor, or friend. Wow.
Mhm.
Interesting. You can get an abortion at any family planning clinics and some doctors' offices. The numbers in this booklet, page 4, will help you find them. Even though abortions are legal, doctors and nurses do not have to offer them. For example, some
Right.
hospitals and clinics that are owned by churches refuse to do abortions. If someone at a clinic or doctor's office tells you that you cannot get an abortion, make sure they're telling you the truth. Get another opinion by calling one of the numbers listed in the Where to Get Help section on page 4. Yikes.
Mhm.
Ooh, honey. So you
But
can't turn down.
it's a thin line because if you have a patient come in there, say you have a kid come in there and they're
Right.
11 years old and they're pregnant, the first thing that the doctor's gonna there's gonna be,
Okay.
how did you get pregnant?
If they may
Like,
see this, Callie, I'm not surprised. Nana, you see.
have you been molested?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they're gonna there's you can't just go in there and say, okay, I'm 11 years old and I want an abortion. That ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
That's
This
not gonna happen.
information is by the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union of Northern California.
Hmm.
Woo, girl.
And then now I can't remember. It's the further along. I can't
Mhm.
remember what the cutoff is now, but it's unreal.
And you also have the right to get your own birth control pill
Yeah, yeah,
or
you can do
pills or
that.
birth control in general. It says you have the right to make your own decisions about using birth control and keep it private. Birth control is legal in California for everyone, and no one has to know if you're using it.
Yep,
Also, no one can force you to use birth control if you don't want to. If you
that's
plan to have sex and don't want to get pregnant, you have choices. There are many different kinds of birth control, from condoms to pill to the shot. Talk to your doctor, go to a family planning clinic, or check out the websites in this brochure on pages 4 to 5 to learn more about your birth control choices. This is Your Health, Your Rights. If you need verification for this commentary. Jeez.
that's why they have all those Planned Parenthoods.
Whew, I'm dizzy.
Hmm.
Oh, it's been an interesting life.
Isn't it scary?
Yeah, it is. Because a child going in to get an abortion, something happens.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
a bad situation.
Yep. And then there's going to be a
That's,
lawsuit. It's going to be a
yeah,
medical malpractice
yeah,
lawsuit.
that would be bad. Well, I'm 2:23 in. I'm going to end this live because I got to come back later with some nonsense. We decided we were going to do it at 12:01. Y'all on board?
I'm on board.
Okay. Night out.
She has her mic off.
Night out. Lord. This girl. I don't know what she be doing. And I gotta type. This is so sickening. Yes, Nene, yes. It should be interesting. If I can get off of here. Well, anyway, I'm coming back a little later with some sad information. And this is just basic commentary about utter foolishness. So if you'd like to join us at 12:01, please feel free to chime in on the said information that we'll be bringing to you. And that's that. Well, we'll see about that, Nancy. I want to thank the people for joining me. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming and listening and giving your opinions. Thank you, Mods, for your commentary. Night Owl, for your testimony about your brief visit with the doctor who is now incarcerated, doing 10 years in prison. I will be back. This is Everyday Shenanigans, and thank you all for joining me, and happy Easter to all of you. Have a blessed week, and if you want to join me back at 12:01 a.m. Monday, please chime in. Should be a very interesting live. Thank you so much. You all have a safe night. Bye.